because of 2008 and what happened, these banks are better capitalized than in previous times when the economy has come under a lot of pressure. So we've taken that as a given, and I'm hoping that the stress tests prove to you that that narrative is correct, that the industry is in pretty good shape to withstand everything that's being thrown at it this time around.
Yeah, Joe, I think from the Fed's point of view, it's all about capital. I think the tweaking they did with the Volcker rules as well was about derivative positions, not proprietary positions, and that freed up, I think, about $40 billion in capital for the big banks. So I thought this was the kind of action you would expect from the Fed during a crisis, and this is in many ways a crisis. And I think it was prudent, it was thoughtful, and I think the results show that we have a well-capitalized banking system at this time, which is, as you said when you started, very important.
Okay, and the way that they have decided what's prudent for banks, no buybacks, but you can keep paying the dividend, that didn't go far enough. We know that the Lyle Brainerd, the last Obama holdover, I think, at the Fed, thinks that they shouldn't be paying dividends either. Is that grossly political, or is that prudent? You don't want to get to the point where the people that have once again, the asset holders of the banks, they get their dividends. If the banks get into trouble, then once again the public ends up bailing them out, and normal people didn't get any of those dividends, and here they are bailing them out again. Is that likely to happen?
I think all of these actions mean that our banks and the government are working much more closely together. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Joe, I think most of the big banks had already agreed not to do buybacks. And I suspect they'll be fine with a period of more caps and more focus on the amount of dividends. Because as I said at the beginning, I think for Chairman Powell, this is about capital. This is about keeping as much capital in the system as possible during this period of a crisis. And so I think it's an appropriate discussion. I don't think there's any perfect answer. But I think the way that the Fed has gone about this is both prudent and thoughtful. And I think they've come up with a pretty good solution for now.
Well, Democrats,
I wouldn't be shocked if down the road,
Democrats don't
maybe
think
they
so,
did more
though,
on limiting dividends.
Democrat. I'm sure Elizabeth Warren. I'm sure Elizabeth Warren doesn't think that they should keep paying dividends just on the chance that this lasts longer. Sherrod Brown, I read from Ohio, doesn't think. Why not just take a step back on all shareholder distributions and not just the buybacks?
Listen, in all of these actions, they're already limiting them, Joe. So they're eliminating buybacks and they're limiting the amount of dividends. So they're already in that position. And what you're saying is the Democrats would like them to go further. Of course they would. And I think that comes back to the same core issue, which is it would leave more capital in the system.
Yeah. Andrew, you want
to? Hey, Bob.
Yeah, okay.
Also wanted to ask you just about consolidation, sort of given where we are, given the conversations we've probably had now over the last 12 years since 2008, and just how much consolidation there is and whether you think that poses any risk at this point.
So I don't think there's risk at this point, Andrew, but I think the facts are kind of clear. And, as I look at Andrew Ross Sorkin, the author of Too Big to Fail, and I think about 2008 and 2009 and the whole focus from elected officials, not just regulators, was we will never have too big to fail again. And I think today, if you look at the SIFI banks in the U.S., the 8 institutions, they're all bigger. They all have more concentrated risk. I think the amount of deposits of the top 4 banks in the U.S. are now double. They own 45% of DTC. I think the risk is more correlated with the national government. And those are just facts. So if the goal was to eliminate too big to fail, I don't think that that's been accomplished. But if the goal was to make the banks extremely well capitalized and more aligned and interconnected with public policy, that probably has been accomplished.